to the Josephine Review Podcast. Yes, your girl is back.
Whoa, 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 yeah.
Hey, yo, Tim, man, it's the jump off right here, man.
Whoa, 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 it's Queen B.
It's the jump off. I've been going for a minute, now I'm back with the jump off. Goons in the club, case something jump off. You're back up for that.
I've been going for a minute, but I'm back with the jump off. Hey, hey, hey. Okay, so welcome. I am your host, Josephine. Thank you for joining me. Okay, I'm a little under the weather today, so you may hear a sniffle here or there, but there's no COVID here, okay? There's no COVID, just little allergies, that's all. But anyway, today's show is titled, How to Be Joan the Scammer 101. Yes, that's right. How to be Joan the Scammer 101. Why are we talking about that? Well, we are reviewing Portia and Simon. We are reviewing Married to Medicine's reunion trilogy. Yes, I know I'm late, but who cares? I still want to talk about it. It's one of my favorite shows. You know, you have to talk about the Black excellence whenever you can, okay? And we are reviewing Erica.
Stop it. You're making yourself too comfortable. You talk to me like I'm some random bitch off the street, Erica.
Yes, you guessed it. Erica Mena and Safari drama. I have to talk about it because it's comical. We'll get into it when we get into it, okay? Now, first I must say what I say every time, you know, because everything I talk about, well, not everything, but mostly everything I talk about is alleged. I don't break stories, so whatever I'm talking about is already out there, okay? I'm not investigating anything that isn't already out there by the prospects that we're talking about. So please understand that the views I express on my show are that of my own, and you, my wonderful listeners, have the right to agree to disagree, okay? If you miss any live shows from the Josephine Review Podcast, you can catch me on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Anchor, social media platforms, Twitter and IG, and of course, my website, thejosephinereviewpodcast.com. Go there. Go back and listen to all the shows on Apple Podcasts. You can listen to all of my shows. Yes, whatever you've missed, I've probably talked about it at some point, right? My website, Twitter, IG will link you to an instant replay of the show's latest topics, okay? Feel free to leave your questions and comments below. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Please like this video, share this video, and subscribe. Okay, subscribe to my channel. I need the numbers. It's hard out here in the YouTube streets for, you know, us Black content creators. And yes, I have a podcast, and I've been on all the podcast platforms for over a year now. But now I'm here on YouTube, and I need you guys to let me know that you want to see more. You want to see more, okay? There's somebody for everybody, and I know I'm for somebody, right? Okay, so like I said, please like this video, share, and subscribe. Tell your mama, tell your cousin, tell your friends, your husband, your brother, everybody, okay, to come watch the Josephine Review Podcast or listen on the podcast platforms, okay? Now, let's talk about it. Okay, so first, let's get into Married to Medicine, okay? One of my favorite shows. Married to Medicine's reunion trilogy. Okay, so we saw Dr. Jackie and Dr. Simone talk about where their friendship lies. I really wish Simone would just get past whatever the drama is, you know, whatever she's harboring or holding on to, and just mend that friendship. I know that friendships end sometimes. Situations are for a reason and a season. But for whatever reason, I love their friendship, like most of the viewers, and we just kind of, you know, I guess for nostalgic reasons, want to see them be friendly again. You know, I mean, look how much fun they had when they were just talking, making up, walking with Anila. How just that little small moment was so funny, right? So yeah, they talked about that. I feel like they barely touched on Toya and what it is that was ailing her this season that had her, you know, storyline just looking like she was angry with the world. Toya is my girl. I like Toya on the show. And I don't know. I feel like they barely scratched the surface of what really was going on with her. And when she spoke on it herself, she kind of gave a roundabout excuse for what it was she was going through this season. I don't think that's the real excuse or the real story, but maybe we'll see it next season. And they refuse to talk about what's going on with their home because, as everybody knows, it is up for sale. I don't know if it has been sold by now, but it was up for sale all season. So guess we'll find out about that next week also, right? I mean, next season. I wish next week. No, but next season. Okay. And then who else? I feel like Curtis, Dr. Jackie's husband, was very vocal on this reunion, unlike other reunion episodes that he's participated in. And, you know, aside from the seasons that he's been on, he hasn't really been that vocal. And I feel like he should have been that vocal when he was having that problem with Dr. Jackie that made him step out and go do what he did. But he was clearly very quiet then. Okay, he was very quiet then, and I feel like, you know, why did he have so much to say? Why was he, you know, being Captain Save-Em for Dr. Scott? Who knows? But let's talk about what Curtis said. Curtis made a remark when they were talking about Dr. Heavenly and her, you know, smart aleck mouth. And how she's always calling them out and has so much to say. And he feels like, you know, as he said, if the women can come at the men and they want to, you know, act like a man and all this stuff, then they should be prepared for the men to come back at them. I do not agree with that, you know, because when it comes to Dr. Heavenly, she's always responding to what comes at her. The same way with Kenya on Housewives of Atlanta. She's responding to what comes at her. She doesn't seek the husbands out to say anything about them. They say smart aleck things about her first when they are off the air, when they are on YouTube, on the little shows, or on Twitter. They have a lot to say, and so she responds to that because they're saying too much, and she gives it a moment for their wives to step in and say whatever to them, but they don't say anything. They kind of egg it on sometimes, and so that makes her feel like she has to step up and defend herself, because, you know, Dr. Damon is not with all of that foolishness. He doesn't have time for that. So Heavenly is the mouthpiece for the Kimes family, you know, Team Daddy. So when Curtis said that, and then later down the line, Quad makes a statement about Dr. Eugene, you know, saying that if he wants to act like a woman, she'll buy him a skirt. And Andy took offense a little bit, and he's like, Quad, what does that mean? Just because he has a remark for a woman means he has to wear a skirt? Well, why didn't Andy have that same feeling when Curtis said that Dr. Heavenly is acting like a man just because she's responding to a man? Isn't that the same thing? So if Quad was being homophobic, if Quad was being homophobic, then also Curtis was being homophobic as well. And when I went on social media, I saw so many people jumping on a bandwagon with Andy, saying that Quad kind of made a homophobic remark. And I feel like they both did. You know, both genders should be able to speak to whomever they want to speak to if they feel like they have been wronged, right? So Dr. Heavenly speaking to the men after they have sent for her. You know, she's not acting like a man. She's defending herself as a woman. And the same with Quiet when she responds to Dr. Eugene or Dr. Scott or whomever has something to say that is of the male counterparts, if that's how they identify themselves these days. Because I tell you, these pronouns, I don't have time for it. It's confusing. But, you know, I just went off on a little side tangent. But let's get back to the topic. You know, I respect anybody who respects me, but if you say something to me that makes me feel like I have to defend myself, man or woman, I will. But I don't agree. Now, I don't agree with Quiet saying man, woman, or child. No, not child, Quiet. We're not attacking children. We're not confronting children, you know. Now, we may say something to the parent about putting their child in their respective place, but we're not going to address children directly. But anyhow, okay, so Dr. Scott and Dr. Contessa. At first, I thought, you know, maybe they were making this up a storyline. You know, are they really having marital problems? Because, you know, on social media, they seem like everything is all good, right? Which was mentioned on the reunion. And so we see, of course, Dr. Contessa's breakdown. And I don't know, watching the reunion and really watching the last couple of episodes of the show when they were on Jekyll Island, I felt like what Dr. Contessa and Dr. Scott was going through was real. And really halfway through the season, I felt like what they were going through was real because, you know, Dr. Scott was just showing Dr. Contessa, that he is just kind of like a master manipulator. He's a master deflector, and he does not acknowledge her feelings at all. He kind of gaslights the heck out of Dr. Contessa, which just irritates my soul, you know, but that's their marriage, and everybody has some type of problem in their marriage, and, you know, there seems to be a communication issue, which really lies, the bulk of it lies on Dr. Scott, according to what we see on the show, because we don't know their lives personally, but what they show us on the show, it seems like he is not emotionally available to his wife, which is really sad. And Dr. Contessa is in immense pain about it. And then there's this possibility of this outside woman or outside women, you know, and I just think it's crazy. You know, what is Dr. Scott's motivation for all of this? You know, Dr. Contessa ended up involving the other cast members in their marriage situation, their marital woes, and Dr. Scott was upset by it, and you know, most of the husbands felt like, why is it that Quiet or one of the other ladies is speaking up for Contessa with stuff that she should be saying on her own? And the reason is because every time she says it on her own, Dr. Scott, you gaslight her, you don't listen. So maybe if you hear from somebody else, it's going to get under your skin and make you respond and give her the answer that she needs, you know. And that's exactly what happened, because you were in your feelings when Quiet brought it up. And you had everything to say about it and every emotion about it, emotions that we have never seen from you, Dr. Scott. Like, was that really you? I was so, you know, flabbergasted by his reactions, you know, given what he's shown us season after season of gaslighting, you know, and not acknowledging her. And countless times she says, our marriage needs repair, let's go to counseling. And he didn't want to go to counseling, but then you want to throw women in her face to get under her skin. Get under her skin about what? Her telling you she's in pain? Man, I really hope they can get it together. They can figure it out and work through it. If it works, I hope it works. He seems to want to salvage his marriage. He's got Curtis rooting for him, even though he gave us 5011 stories this season with 5011 excuses. And Dr. Karen, man, Dr. Karen is hilarious, and I believe he is the reason that Anila is on the show. Okay? Because he brings it real quick and real cute in a way that Anila can't. And I love Dr. Karen on the show. And when I tell you he read that situation in 5 seconds and, you know, shut it down, like, what kind of storybook are we reading? What is the answer to the story? I want the answer. And to be people who rely on scientific answers, you know, they're medical researchers by profession, it's hard for a scientist to not have the answer and not have evidence and not have hypothesis and whatnot. But Dr. Scott seems to not operate in that field at all when it comes to other areas of his life. Or does he pretend he doesn't operate that way just to, you know, shy Dr. Contessa? I don't know. But anyway, that was a big part of the reunion, them addressing that. It was almost like Dr. Simone and Dr. Eugene. It was almost like Dr. Simone and Cecil, you know, previous seasons ago. And, you know, I don't know if they're going to have the same outcome, but if Dr. Scott doesn't acknowledge his wife and give her the emotional connection that she needs, I don't know how that's going to pan out. But I understand Dr. Contessa not wanting to leave because of her kids, because no one wants another woman, or if it's the opposite way around, another man stepping in and raising your children. You don't want to know about somebody else being around your children except you and the person you procreated with, right? So enough of Dr. Contessa and Dr. Scott. Enough of Curtis and Quad. And Quad, I saw that house, girl. I saw that house. It's beautiful. I love Quad's house. The backyard, the inside, like everything. It's everything. And I know Dr. Heavenly on her YouTube blog said that Quad is, you know, personalizing the house, redecorating, renovating, and all of that. And understandably, but it really, even if she wouldn't have done that, the house was still beautiful the way it was when she bought it as is, you know. So kudos to Quad on her 2 million house, you know, nice. You're not in an apartment anymore, a townhouse apartment. Toya was so foul for that. An apartment, no. She was in a townhouse, a $500,000 townhouse, if I understand it correctly, according to Dr. Heavenly. But moving on, you know, and I just want to say, it seems like everybody hates Dr. Heavenly. Everybody hates Heavenly. That was bad. That was real bad. But anyway, you know, I actually don't. And I actually dislike the word hate very much. It's a very strong word. It takes a lot of energy to hate someone or something. So just say dislike and save, you know, your body from all that extra cortisol that you don't need, you know. Just say dislike. But I don't dislike Dr. Heavenly. I feel she speaks her mind and calls it how she sees it, and people just can't stand it because she's too honest. She's too honest, and some of the stuff maybe she can keep inside and be honest to herself, or maybe tell a Laura who could tell her mommy, don't say that to the person directly. Just say it in your closet before you get there. But anyhow, you know, she lets it out. And I also like Toya. Toya, you know, was originally one of my favorite people on the show before Dr. Heavenly was getting a lot of screen time, because we know Dr. Heavenly was on there from the first episode. Remember the fight by the pool with Toya and Quad? Not Toya and Quad. Toya and Mariah, and you know Quad was there. But Toya also calls it the same way Dr. Heavenly does. You know, with this season, as I've mentioned in past episodes, Toya was a little off. Don't know why, but I'ma stick beside her. I'ma stick beside her because I like her. I like Toya. And side note, I actually saw Toya not long ago out and about, kicking it, not kicking it, she was running a couple of errands or whatever. And we ran into each other running errands at a similar location, okay? And I have to say that on camera, Toya is beautiful. Yes, we know that. But in person, she is really, really, really pretty. And I feel like the camera doesn't pick up all of that for everybody all the time. And, but, she was really nice. And she also said, hi to me and gave me a compliment. And I was like, oh, that's so nice. She's so nice, And I saw her. I'm not going to lie, I didn't fan out or anything because I'm not a fan. I'm just an observer. I observe. But I saw her and I was like, hi, Toya. Hey, girl. Hey, how you doing? I like your hair. You look nice, And she returned the compliment, which was really nice of her because she could have just been like, hi, and kept on going. But she didn't do that. She stopped and gave me 5 seconds of her time. And Toya, I appreciate that because, like I said, I'm going to stick beside you, I'm going to stick beside you. But moving on, I need to talk about Portia and Scammon. Portia and Simon. Portia and Simon. One of the commenters, I believe, mentioned something about a vlogger named Tila Says. So I was like, Tila Tells, who is that? I've never heard of a Tila Tells, right? So I go to the YouTube page, look up Tila Tells, and lo and behold, honey, she's been breaking the internets. She has done such an in-depth and thorough investigation on Simon. It's my allergies that keeps making me say Scammon. I don't mean to call him out of his name. His name is Simon. And she did this expose on Simon and Portia and the real tea behind what is up with them with Real Housewives of Atlanta's new season. I'm getting so distracted. My little dog, usually he's asleep at this time. I have a little cockapoo and he's just tip-tapping around and growling. Like, why? This time of night, why? I don't know. But anyway, so she did this expose on him, and I don't seek out to delve into people's lives and personal business like that. If it's not on the show, it's kind of like, who cares? Or if it's not on social media, who cares? But apparently she cared, and she went all the way there. And when I tell you, she proved that Simon is not who he says he is. He doesn't own any businesses. His licenses have been revoked. His name is not even Simon. His name is Iore Gobadia. And that Portia thinks he has all this money, but he's actually kind of just like a 1 millionaire or 2 millionaire, not a 40 millionaire. And then she uncovers how he and Portia have been together since sometime last summer, I don't know how long. And then she just was on it. If you haven't seen Tila Tells vlog coverage of everything that has to do with Portia and Simon, especially Simon's dirty deeds and his scamming life, you should go watch, okay? You should go watch if you're interested in something like that. If not, hey, it is what it is. But me personally, having a vlog, a podcast, I had to go and Portia's, I don't know what Portia is doing. Portia, what are you doing? I hope this all wasn't for a storyline. But all I know is now she's uncovered that Portia unfollowed Simon. Simon is releasing a statement saying, I never said I was a millionaire, whatever he said. I don't know. I didn't watch it, didn't care. But, he's trying to cover his tracks from whatever Tila Tells has revealed. And It's crazy. And now Real Housewives of Atlanta start date and start, you know, when they start filming and when their season premiere has been taken over by Real Housewives of New Jersey. What? What is going on? Now, I like Real Housewives of New Jersey. I love Jennifer, even though she's a lush. She is a lush baby, but I love Jennifer. I like Teresa. And, you know, Marge is messy, but Marge is good TV. And I just don't see how they could be jumping into Real Housewives of Atlanta spots unless what Tila Tells has revealed. Is it Tila Tells? It's Tisa. I'm sorry, girl. It's Tisa Tells. I don't know why I keep saying Tila. Tisa Tells has uncovered, and it seems like as her expose came out and caught traction on social media, the next thing you know, there's an announcement that Real Housewives of Atlanta has come to a halt. They are having casting issues, but we just heard that they were casting light-skinned, brown-skinned Keisha from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta and Power, which I wasn't too fond of that pick. I don't know if it was true or not, but I think all of that that's going on this week surrounding Real Housewives of Atlanta has to do with Tisa's expose. I don't know. Go watch it and figure it out for yourself. Okay. But we're going to move on. I'm all for Portia and Simon. And Wendy Williams was right. A lot of people like to try to discredit Wendy, you know. But Wendy is the originator of all of this. She is the queen, the creator of this, bringing, you know, tabloids to the airwaves. She's the reason all of us bloggers exist, social media, gossip blogs exist. It's Wendy. So Wendy, I'm sure, had the drop on Simon and Portia and Fallon long before we did. That's why she said what she said, even though, you know, I can't get behind her talking about hut living or whatever it was in Nigeria or Africa, you know, any of the countries in Africa, because it's just something derogatory and demeaning to say. But I understand why she said it now that I know what I know about Simon, okay? But we're gonna move on to our next story, Safari and Erica.
Issue, Erica?
Stop it. You're making yourself too comfortable.
You talk to me like I'm some random bitch off the street, Erica.
Okay, so Erica. Erica. First thing is up. Let's talk about Erica and Santana before I get into Erica and Safari. So it was revealed that, if you don't know this by now, you should know. Erica apparently had a Finsta ghost account on Instagram. I think it was at Gunna1032. At Gunna1032. Yes. Erica had this Finsta ghost account where she would follow anything that had to do with Santana, basically stalking her IG account and leaving negative, nasty comments about Santana. And it was revealed by a blog. I don't recall which blog revealed it, but it was revealed, and it was because she she dropped her hand on this one. She changed the page name to her and Safari's baby's name, the second baby they just had. And so when she changed the name changed on those negative, nasty comments that she left about Santana. And so people were like, wait a minute, the baby account is saying this? What? You know, just a mess, just a real mess. And so, you know, she was revealed, and I think it's sad, but it's not shocking. So many celebrities have ghost or Finsta accounts, whatever you want to call it, on IG and Twitter. They come in the comments, they say a whole bunch of stuff in defense of themselves, which is understandable because they can't really just come out as themselves, because then it becomes tabloid fodder and gossip fodder. It's all over the blogs, and then they have to talk about this story, which takes away from what their career is really about. So I understand having their ghost accounts. You know, some call it being a coward, but I really don't see it that way. I just see it as them having a way to express themselves without having to express themselves on every media outlet, you know, as themselves, you know. But you can kind of tell when these celebrities are doing these fake accounts, because they come at the person, whoever makes a negative comments. I try not to make negative comments on social media because life is good to me, and so I try to be good to others, and I just, you know, I like having a debate or a healthy dialogue, but not anything negative or disparaging. But when you see somebody that's just deliberately coming at a person in the comments, and they're going through the comments, checking out every single thing, I'm like, hold on, why does this person care this much about this situation? So then that makes me click on the Finsta to see who it is, and then they have nothing and all these followers but nothing. You know, they might have 5 pictures if the account is not private. But when you look at the comments they're making, they oftentimes know too much about the person at hand, have too much personal information that a regular person would not know and say in a comment. And then they are too deliberate at responding and what they have to say and going back and forth with the person. It goes beyond fandom, right? It goes beyond, like, you know, what a Nicki fan would do or a Beyonce fan would do. And they could be very vicious. These Finsta accounts sometimes are even more vicious than that, right? So I'm not shocked that Erica was doing that. But Sin, I have to mention Sin's song. I don't remember the name of it, but Joe Budden mentioned it, and that's how I heard about it. And I love the song. The video is nicely done, but it's not my type of video. That's you know, that's not my type of video. But I love the song. I love reggaeton, so I love the song. I think she's got hit on her hands with that, and she's going in the right direction. So go ahead, Sin. And Erica was just being a hater, period. But anyway, now let's talk about Erica and Safari really quick. I don't want to spend too much time on this. So Erica and Safari were pregnant with their second child, and when Safari back then made those comments about he didn't want another baby for whatever the reason was, Erica was already pregnant. So that tells me Safari made those statements just to I don't know what this was on my desk, but I just had to wipe it off right quick. But he was just trying to throw the bloggers off, just in case somebody had a tip or try to put it out there that Erica was pregnant. That's what I think that was. It was nothing to him making that comment about them both gaining weight in the last pregnancy, because that is something that really does happen. But anyway, and I can speak to that because I just had a baby, so I know both parents gain weight whether you want to or not. Okay, but I think, you know, I'm losing it really well. Okay, but anyway, so I have to say, Erica goes on Love and Hip Hop. You know, they filmed this episode where she reveals to Safari that they are having a second child, which the child is now here. I think the baby's name is Sapphire, I believe. I could be wrong, but I think it's Sapphire. But anyway, whatever it is, they had a second baby, a little boy. And Erica decides to let Safari know by having Spice come to the house with her dancers, her booty dancers, to make a pregnancy announcement. But yet, this is the same woman who is upset that her husband is going places with their booty shakers or whatever, dancers, girls, hot girls, I don't know what you want to call them, hot girls, summer girls, whatever. Like, how are you upset? And that's what you brought to him, to even announce something as precious as, you know, another baby coming into the world. You know, you kind of asked for the things you get, Erica. You set your life up for those downfalls, you know. But anyway, so she does that, but the thing that got me is Safari was so excited. Straight. He's all in that mode when he sees, you know, the women dancing and Spice performing. But when Erica reveals that there's a baby and she gives him the phone with the sonogram video, his face was just placid. Just, really? You're not excited about life coming into the world? Why wouldn't a man be excited about life and coming into the world? Well, one, he didn't want that life to come into the world with you. And two, you cramped his style. So I feel like Safari was, you know, looking defeated and disappointed because he was trying to make an escape, and this second baby foiled his escape plan because now he has to be present with Erica, somebody that he's trying to get away from, even more because now he's 2 children in, right? Now, I think it's really a shame for whatever it is that you were feeling you wanted to do, hearing the news about a baby coming into your life and having that type of reaction, whether you know, still love your wife or you're upset with your wife at the time and you want to be separated from her. That baby announcement should have trumped any of those feelings. But I don't know if it was for TV. I don't know, you know, if they just need this storyline, and so they cooked all of this up over last summer. But that's what he gave, and you know, it wasn't what it was supposed to give. Especially by the looks of Erica and her expression. It wasn't what it was supposed to give. And he left and sped off on his little motorbike. Now, let's get into that. Erica had the baby. First, she talked all this smack. I don't want him there. I don't want him there coming there when I'm having my baby. He doesn't need to be there because he is not a husband. And looking at the pregnancy announcement, I see why she probably, you know, what led to that feeling. And then some, you know, who knows what we haven't seen or will see on the Love and Hip Hop, you know, clips, because I don't watch the show, but I watch the clips to see what's going on. And she has the baby. He's there. We see that on social media that he's there. And then his baby is in the NIC unit, but he's gone to parties with the hot girl summer girls, you know, and it's like, dude, what is wrong with you? What is really wrong with you? I don't think Safari is that crazy. I think that was all for TV, for a storyline, for them to have something to talk about. Why do I think that? Because they really need something to talk about anytime they have to go to OnlyFans stripping naked to get money, right? When Love and Hip Hop was down, they were selling their soul and their body on OnlyFans. So yeah, they hard up for the money. So this is a storyline. I'm not buying it. And you know, Wendy talks about it on her show every once in a while when she says she's on Erica's side. Ever since Erica said Wendy was right, now she's on Erica's side. But they're no different from Portia, Simon, and Fallon with the foolishness. So whatever. But I just think the whole thing is crazy. Then Erica, in her anger, she goes and supposedly dumps paint or something in all of Safari's gas tanks on his motorbikes. And then she destroyed all of his clothing and his shoes, and he wants to sue her for money for, you know, to replace the items she damaged. Now the question arose, is he wrong or is he right? Should Erica pay him or not? Or does he have the right to sue his wife or not? Well, I don't know about suing your wife, but I do feel like Erica was crazy for doing that, because the clothes, whatever with the clothes, yes, you can do consignment with clothes and whatnot, but in a divorce, you're least likely to get his clothes. But those bikes, girl, that was money. That was money. You should have kept the bikes, Erica, not trashed the bikes. You should have took the bikes, hid them in the... Okay, I don't know where I left off, but let me start again. So Erica and Safari, let's talk about what happened with currently. He wants to sue her for damaging his property. I think he wants upwards of $50,000 plus for all the things she damaged. She poured paint in his motorbike gas tanks. She destroyed all his clothes and his shoes. I think she forgot some, she said, but you know, I just think it's crazy. I think it's all for clicks and likes. I think it's for follows and attention for the show, for a storyline. And yeah, I really think it's that, because when Love and Hip Hop was down, what were they doing? They were selling their soul and their body on OnlyFans because they needed the money. Okay, so if you're that hard up for money that you're willing to take your clothes off online to get a couple of dollars, something a little strange for a little change, then of course you will cook up this turmoil storyline, you know, so you can have something to be on the show to get that money for Love and Hip Hop. And I don't know how much money Love and Hip Hop pays, but I don't think it's that much. But Erica, if you were being smart, you wouldn't have destroyed the bikes. Now the clothes, you probably wouldn't get his clothes in a divorce. But the bikes, you could have had it written up in the divorce decree in your request that you want half on the bikes. You messed up the money, girl, for yourself. Now come on, be smart. Work smarter, not harder, Erica. Don't destroy the bikes. You can resell the bikes. Or you can have him sell half of the bikes and take half the money. Like, come on. But I don't know. I'm tired of talking about Safari and Erica. Moving on. Okay, we're going to move on to the next story. Now, I want to quickly touch on Nivea. You guys remember Nivea, right? So you guys remember Nivea, right? Of course you do. Don't mess with my man, 'cause I'm gonna be the one to bring it to you. Got my girls and my man, so fire only mine alone. Don't mess with my man. Yeah, Nivea. I loved all the Nivea songs. Everything she put out back then, I loved it, obviously, okay? So Nivea did an interview on Candy's show On That Note. Candy's show On That Note, real quick, she covers music topics. So she interviews people from the music industry, her friends and people she's worked with or whatnot. So let me just say, the interview was deep. Nivea was giving her testimony. She said she didn't expect to come revealing that information, you know, all the stuff that Candy, she says, pulled out of her. But I believe God was using her, you know. God used her in that moment to tell her story, because what happened to her is not her purpose. But the work that her story does, speaking it out and revealing her true self and her tribulations to the world, it helps other people to heal that are experiencing the same things or have experienced the same thing. They get to see God's miracle working through her, because that's what God is in the business of. He's in the business of taking people that are down, reworking them, renewing them, and changing them into the purpose that he created them for, right? And so Nivea is an example of God's miracle, and that's what all of that regurgitating of that information was about. I am thankful that she did that. I haven't experienced any of those things that she went through, and I am in shock that she even experienced anything like that. You know, she had a really, really tough upbringing. You know, both of her parents, she said, were addicts, you know, drug addicts, and no different, you know, from Keisha Cole, who just lost her mom, Frankie. So God rest. So rest in heaven, Frankie, you know, and I pray that God helps her family recover quickly and speedily. But, you know, a lot of people have experienced that. Even Toya, and her mom, Anita, had the same, or not the same, but a similar experience, you know, where it was tough. They kind of had to grow up and be more adult sooner than they wanted to be, dealing with parents who were not really as present as they needed to be emotionally, right? And so just all of that, and then what she went through with Dream and what she went through with Wayne, and Wayne just, I can't believe he did that to her. But anyway, she revealed all of that, and it takes a strong person to go through all of those things she went through in her life from a child to now. And, you know, kudos to Nivea. Kudos to Nivea. You have much respect from me over here at the Josephine Review podcast, okay? Now, when it comes to what she said about Lil Wayne, okay, and how he did her, a lot of people came on social media and had things to say about that were negative. And I feel like it came from them just watching a clip instead of actually watching the whole story to see how she got there and what caused her to think and respond in a way that she did to whatever Wayne promised her or said to her or whatever it was, right? So people were saying all these negative things about, oh, you know, you stupid for listening to him, or you don't never let no man tell you they're gonna do this and that, and you just stop your career. Well, there were reasons that Nivea was caught up in that type of situation and wanted somebody to finally love her and take care of her in that way, because she did not have that growing up, right? If you listen to her story, you know that. I'm not gonna go through her story. Go watch the Candy video. Go watch the Candy video and you'll learn all of that, right? But on the flip side, a lot of people have been showing her love. You know, she's kind of the breakout star of the show Encore on BET. And I want Nivea to make more music. Make more music, Nivea. Come on back. Come on back. Candy told you, hurry up and put something out. Listen to her. Okay? All right. So that's it on Nivea. That's my review on Nivea's interview with Candy. Now, real quick, I have a side note. Two things I want to address. One thing is this disease that keeps on giving, COVID, right? So now we have Delta and Delta Plus, and you know, I just have to say that I told y'all that this was gonna happen episodes ago on my podcast. I told y'all, okay? I hope you listen. This has already been out. They just now bring it to the forefront because more people are getting sick from it in America. But I hope you listen, and I hope you've been taking care of yourselves accordingly, wearing your mask or whatnot, whether you're vaccinated or not. And don't say, I ain't never did nothing for you now. Don't say, I ain't never did nothing for you. Okay? Real talk. Now, the second thing that I want to talk about is Wendy weeks ago. This was weeks ago, but I still want to talk about it. Wendy made comments about Tabitha Brown. You know Tabitha Brown, she's a social media, influencer. But that's not all she is. Before she was that, she was an actress. And she's still an actress. She plays on The Shy with Candy. And she decided to retire her husband. Wendy goes on her show and makes comments not knowing the full story. And Tabitha politely got her together. I mean, just with ultimate class, or a classy, sexy read, you know. So shout out to Tabitha Brown for exemplifying class, okay, and giving the classiest read thus far. Yes, y'all already know about what went down, what Tab said, and all of that. And I don't need to break it down, and I'm not. But know that I stand Tabitha, okay? I stand Tabitha, okay? Now that I done shared my feelings about that really briefly, I want you to go on about your day and mind your business. What did she say? Mind your business. And just because your day is not going good, don't go messing up nobody else's day. I just love when she says that. But anyway, she has a beautiful family. Shout out to Tabitha. Okay, now. It is time for my favorite part of the show. Did you know? Dun, 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 dun. It's time for Did You Know? A little history lesson. I can't just talk about drama and not give you some knowledge, okay? So everybody watched the movie Django Unchained, or maybe you didn't watch the movie, but I didn't watch the movie. I tried to watch the movie, but I fell asleep, okay? Because it just wasn't interesting to me. I'm tired of slavery movies. I don't want to know about the emancipation. I already know about all that Black history stuff, okay? Now, unless you got something new to tell me, I don't want to see no more slavery movies. But anyway, if you saw Django Unchained, okay, it was about a real person, okay? Did you know that Django Unchained was a movie loosely based on a man whose actual name is Dangerfield Newby? Yes, Dangerfield Newby. Dangerfield was a member of an abolitionist gang called the John Brown Raiders. The John Brown Raiders fought, or they attempted to go to Harper's Ferry to not confiscate, but to take some artillery, some weapons, so that they can move along in their abolitionist dreams, right? Now, Dangerfield Newby, he had a wife who he was fighting to save, okay? He was fighting to save his wife and children from slavery. His wife was still enslaved when he married her, and by any means necessary, he wanted to save his family. Dangerfield is described as a tall, 6 feet something man who was strong and about it. He was about that life. Yeah, he was about that life for his family, and I applaud him for that. And that's why I'm talking about him today, right? He was born into enslavement in the 1800s or the 1700s. Anyway, he was born into slavery but later freed. Now, I'm not quite clear on this, but I think he was biracial because I think his father was also the the person who held his family captive, okay? And he was born into that situation. Dangerfield married a woman who was still enslaved by a ruthless plantation owner in Mississippi and dedicated his life to saving her. Literally, he dedicated his life to saving her. He joined abolitionist John Brown, who was a white man. And it's so funny because I remember, like, my grandmother, she always uses colloquialisms and stuff, And so anytime you say something that's surprising to her, she's like, I be John Brown. And I would always say, Grandma, who is John Brown? And then she had my mama saying it. I be John Brown. I said, oh, Mama, y'all keep saying this. Who is John Brown? Well, I don't know who he is. I don't know who he is. Okay. So I go to the African American Museum in DC. And who do I see? John Brown. So John Brown, he was an abolitionist. He was there to help the Black people get out of enslavement. Okay. So let me get through this story really quickly. As history provides, John Brown and his crew wanted to seize the weapons from Harper's Ferry that they needed for the planned slavery rebellion. Yes, they were planning a rebellion. As history provides, the raid on Harper's Ferry was a bust. Dangerfield lost his life in that raid. He was murdered in that raid, but it wasn't all for nothing. He is cemented in history as not only being a fighter for his people, but being fearless and determined to save his family by any means necessary. How many men today are willing to put their lives on the line for the family they say they love? Seems like the women are the ones putting themselves on the front line more than the men, which is sad. But the matter doesn't always has to be as detrimental as Dangerfield's situation. But just look at the stories we covered today. Dr. Scott, Simon, Safari. I don't think any of them are in line with a Dangerfield Newby type personality, but what do I know? How many of them would be a Dangerfield newbie? I don't know. Maybe Scott could try. I don't know. I'll let y'all answer that. Now, newbie exhibited what a lot of so-called real men lack these days, and that's the ability to personally sacrifice his life for his family and his bloodline. Okay, real. He's a real man. A man that was willing to protect his bloodline by any means necessary instead of using women that he joined to his hip to gain success and access. And that is today's Did You Know? Courtesy of the World Wide Web. No, courtesy of the Josephine Review podcast. Yes, okay? And before I bid you adieu, here is a message that hopefully inspires you. Motivation and inspiration of the day, because I have to leave you with some positivity, okay? Slow and steady wins the race. It's not always about how fast you are. Sometimes the people who get there fast lose it just as fast. The people who take their time and do the right thing, when they get it, they hold on to it for their life and they have it long. And sometimes they leave this earth with it and they can pass it on to their family and, generational wealth or whatever. So slow and steady wins the race. Don't worry about how fast or how long it takes to get there. Like Tabitha Brown, she said it took her 23 years, and here she is. We all know her name. It may take you 23 years, it may take you 3 years, okay? Long as you get there, and you get there living in your purpose and feeling good about who you are, okay? Slow and steady wins the race. That is our motivation and inspiration of the day. Until next episode, please leave your questions and comments. Okay, please like, share, and subscribe. Let me know if you have any topics you want me to cover, anything you want me to speak on, anything I need to know about that I'm not talking about, anything you want me to do better, anything that you just don't want me to do anymore. I don't know if I'll stop. It depends on what it is. But like, share, subscribe, and even if you don't like it, still click something. Okay, let me know you're here. But that's our show, guys. All right. May God bless you and his way impress you. Later.